Yes, Arif, you're now live. Please begin.
Hello and assalamu alaikum and welcome to our ACCA talk on business models from surviving to thriving. My guests today are Sajjad Iftikhar, who's the Chief Investment Officer at Packages Limited. We also have Mahmood, CFO at Akzo Nobel, Pakistan Limited, and Mr. Sajjad Mustafa Syed, who is CEO of Excellence Delivered Private Limited. Gentlemen, thank you all very much for joining us today, and we'll look forward to an interesting discussion around business models. Just to reinforce the title once more, we're talking about business models from surviving to thriving. So those two terms, surviving, means the ability to go on from year to year, as a going concern. What do businesses need to do in order to continue their business operations, have that license to operate and get a good return for their stakeholders in order to continue. And thriving probably means, the ability to have great growth and continue to grow as a business in terms of your shareholders and your customers. I'll do a very quick sort of, if you like, my own interpretation of business models, which in the classic sense is if you think about businesses as an entity into which we put in inputs, वो inputs होते हैं manpower, finance, capital, raw material, plant and machinery, and obviously human knowledge. All these things go into this entity, and out of it we get products and services, or what products and services वो होते हैं, which are needed by humans, which are needed by human businesses or by customers. And the business then takes those products or services to a market, or पे वो मंडी जो होती है, वहाँ पे the transaction happens to buy and sell. And as we sell goods and services, we take money back into the business and we grow the business and we reward the stakeholders. Stakeholders are shareholders, are employees, are the community in which the business operates. So that is my, if you like, the classic capitalist business model. अब हम सबको पता है ये business model जो है आहिस्ता आहिस्ता evolve हो रहा है टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से, human rights की वजह से, climate change की वजह से. And then we'll talk about these aspects, these mega forces, if you like, which are really having a pressure, an exerted pressure on businesses to change and reform and deliver beyond financial outcomes. So let me turn to our guests today and ask a question to all of them, and you can take a few seconds to reply so that we all get a chance to contribute. And firstly, let me ask you, what in your opinion, especially for Pakistan, what are the external forces making you look at your business model, and what is the impact is that having for your enterprises in the 21st century? So let me start with you, Sajjad Iftikhar. What कौन से mega forces हैं जो पाकिस्तान में you think are having an impact?
Thank you very much, Arif sir, for this session, for inviting us over. Sir, when we talk about any business model, yes, the main forces remain the same. That is about the regulation, economic environment, and the changing consumer behavior. But for us, the most important thing is the changing consumer behavior. In whatever type of business you are, either you are surviving that or you're thriving that, the most critical thing is your changing consumer behavior. If you look at your consumer behavior, you change your businesses accordingly. You need to make the things available. You need it to available through online services, through physical transfer of things. So changing consumer behavior is the first thing, and you may add technology to it. And in a COVID-19 situation, yes, education is a necessity. Education is still there. It was a thriving business some time back, but now what happened during the 4 or 5 months, there was no schools open. So immediately the online education system evolved, and we have completed a journey of 2 to 3 years in say 2 to 3 months, in which the technology has taken our education system to a level where people are interacting, are having Zoom classes. And same is the case with on healthcare side. The telemedic side has taken over the physical hospital culture. So it's about changing consumer behavior. That is, and if you don't change your business side, depending upon how the consumer demand is as of now or in the future days, that will be the day when your business model may end up or may. So I'll conclude my thing in one line. That's about changing consumer behavior. You need to figure out and revolve around that.
Great, thanks, Sajjad. I mean, obviously, consumer behavior is, at the top of our minds when it comes to technology. Haris, consumer behavior, B2C, but also what about B2B? Is that changing as well?
Yes, thank you, Arif, once again for inviting us to this forum. I'll just carry on from where Sajjad left, and I agree, consumer behavior is absolutely critical. For a B2B company, because I have a very clear example, we are supplying coatings and paints to marine industry. So marine industry needs to be very competitive, and in our specific case, I'll quote an example where our customers want more energy efficient paints. So we are investing as a company in products that help our customers save more energy and be cost competitive, because eventually the customers eventually need a lower freight cost, and our partners and our customers in the marine industry can only quote lower freight cost once their cost inputs go down. So we help them save energy cost by providing paint, which is helps them save energy. So yes, it's customer behavior B2C and also in B2B. So it's absolutely critical, and also their route to markets. The B2B behavior is that most of the customers want products and services to be offered at various locations. They want flexibility in offerings. So it is very important in the current scenario, as well as growing. COVID aside, leaving COVID aside for a second, but yes, it is very important to keep on changing to cater to the customer needs.
Thank you, Haris, for that. Just for the sake of our audience, because I know we have a spectrum of students listening, future members listening, B2B means a business-to-business model. Yeah, whereas a business is supplying goods and services to another business. And B2C means a business-to-customer model, where really a business is supplying goods to individual customers, mainly a final product in terms of goods and services. Sajjad, you're involved more in the sort of ERP solutions, technology-driven business. Where do you see that sort of customer behavior, etc.? What are the forces you think are shaping your business model?
Thank you very much. We are mainly in B2B business, providing services to large organizations in manufacturing and banking and the rest. Ever since even prior to COVID, when we saw a bit of recession in the country and around the region because of oil prices, we could see the demand shifting more and more towards cost optimization. We believe in post-COVID scenario that would continue and maybe accelerate a little bit. Another thing that is now starting to impact now is it is not just about, as we were discussing a bit earlier as well. It's not really about profit or bottom line anymore. We see a lot of social compliances coming in as well. So you'd be surprised that even in Pakistan, health, safety, and environment systems implementation of IT in safety, health, and environment is increasing. We are doing 3 or 4 projects currently in EHS. So that was something which was sort of a new area to us. A lot of customers are now spending money in learning management systems for their own employees. That is something which was not there about 3 to 4 years ago. Cost control remains a factor. During COVID, what we have seen is collaboration tools have started increasing. the utility of those. How many of us actually knew of Zoom earlier on, right? And now collaboration is online collaboration is pretty much a norm. We have seen a lot of work on hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Sajjad.
Yeah. We see a lot of focus on systems will help in organizational agility. So supply chain systems, we've seen quite a bit of work. We've seen a lot of customers calling us on robotic areas, which we see conversational AI because no longer reliable. The workforce is, the availability of workforce and labor force is slightly unreliable these days. So RPA, AI, these sort of things are more, customers are more and more investing into those areas. So going forward, we see a lot of focus on green initiatives. We see a lot of focus on customer collaboration areas. We see a lot of focus on learning management tools. So these are the kind of things that we see going forward.
Great, thank you. I just want to pick up on something that was said so that we keep the conversation dynamic. I mean, you talk about, the need for more efficient products, more energy efficient products, more energy efficient processes, that is demanded both internally by regulators as well. वो भी बड़े intrusive हो रहे हैं on social aspects, environmental aspects. All of this comes at a cost. Yeah, that cost is borne by the business, and often that cost is not, passed on to the customer. So, Sajjad, Iftikhar, do you think the customer is prepared to pay for the increasing costs that may arise from changing business models? Sir, आप unmute कर लें.
So, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So that customer phenomena has never changed. Customers are, they want a product, they want at the least price, they want the best quality out of it. They are not going to pay for the inefficiency of our system or whatever system. They want to get a product, and if our products are competitive and of the right quality, then they'll be able to purchase it. So now we need to look back how to reduce these costs, because since the customer is not going to buy to go for that incremental cost, we need to reduce these costs either through our internal efficiencies or through efficient buying or through technology. For instance, like again, my example will go to this COVID-19 situation. Like Sajjad mentioned, that a lot of meetings are now happening over Zoom. So it reduces a lot of travel costs, and it has added certain efficiency to the system. And these are the fats into the system that one needs to reduce so that the overall cost circle for the customer remains the same. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the profitability. It's not about the shareholders' profit anymore. It's about sustainable operations. And once the things are sustainable and as per the customer demands only, then these will be ending up at a certain profits, not only for the organization, but also for the society in terms of sustainability. So we need to look back into our systems and fat into the system to provide the best quality at the right price to the customer.
So we have to bring in economies of scale. We have to reduce the unit costs through adoption of technology. Lekin wo bhi Haris, that comes from scalability. The unit costs, the weighted average cost of capital will always come down as volumes go up. But in Pakistan we may not have those type of volumes that maybe we dream of, to bring those unit costs down. So how from your angle, from the finance function angle, what can be done in order to bring those unit costs? Or can we change the mindset of the customer, and make the customer appreciate that this is a great product, it's environmentally friendly, it's climate change friendly, it's power saving friendly, and they should be prepared to pay for it. Aris?
Arif sahab, yes, I so clearly maybe in a B2C model, passing on a higher price to the customer might be very difficult. But I see the patterns of many businesses and organizations changing. So many of the local companies, traditionally state-owned companies, are now moving to products which are more efficient in terms of energy, are have more, of course, health benefits for the customers, eventual customers, and reduce the overall cost of the business and improve the overall value of the business. So I'll again pick up a case example. In Pakistan, we had one of our customers, and which was Millet Tractors. In a number of products that are in the market, there's high use of lead and chromate, especially in the brighter colors. So and we all know lead and chromate is not healthy for humans. So there's and it was also banned globally. So in Pakistan, while some of the companies do continue to use lead and chromate based resins, we, as part of a multinational organization, could not. So we approached one of our customers who we thought had shared the similar sort of values as of Akzo. So we were able to convince Millet Tractors to pay a premium. Of course, we absorbed a bit of a cost because we were using non-lead chromate products. But I think it worked very well with our customers because we were able to share the cost. A part of the cost was borne by the customer and partly by us. But together, I think in the B2B environment, most of the companies are understanding that sustainability in the organization and their operations has a value attached to the entity also. So yes, in terms of profitability, it might impact, but in terms of total overall profitability or total shareholders' equity, I think it might be useful because over long-term periods, organizations which adopt these products, these technologies, and these efficiencies and these sustainable practices are able to survive more than the organization which do not. So yes, I agree. Maybe in B2C it is a little challenge. But in the B2B industry, I've seen examples live in Pakistan, as you specifically questioned, that there are organizations who are willing to pay for use of better products, which have advantages certainly in terms of health, safety, environment. So that also reduces costs. So if a company or an organization has a medical program for its employees, so that will absolutely reduce the cost of the medical bills that their workforce needs to bear because they're using product which is safer to use by the workforce. So yes, I sense that there's a change or willingness to change and adopt better products and better practices, even if it is at a cost, because there are opportunities to shave cost elsewhere.
Sajjad, Mustafa, I'll just come to you. I just want to tease out another interesting point that Haris has made. I just want, because of the two finance professionals here, I just want to pick on a certain thing that you just mentioned. You mentioned, Haris, just now, long-term versus short-term. Okay? You know, in the finance world, we're normally geared towards looking at short-term returns. Okay? हमारी monthly management reports होती हैं, हमारी quarterly reports होती हैं, हमारी half yearly होती हैं, वो annual होती हैं, और फिर regulator जो है वो भी quarterly और half yearly या demand कर रहा होता है. So our entire mindset is towards short term. Yeah. Lekin, when we talk about achieving these bigger outcomes, you know, those are all long term. Sajjad, Iftikhar, do you think कोई fundamental changes अब हो रहे हैं finance function के अंदर that we're thinking more long term now?
So I guess there are certain changes already there because for listed companies, it is required to provide a certain update on the CSR initiatives that the company is taking. And importantly, health, safety type of things were initially considered as CSR, but now they have taken the first priority in terms of every business, because after this COVID-19, health and safety of employees, of the environment, of the stakeholders around you is the first key to start your business. So from a CSR thing, it has now achieved the basic primary thing. And in terms of financial reporting, I think listed companies are reporting what initiatives they are taking on long-term basis, particularly when it comes to resource conservation like water and stuff. So, and if we talk about international donors like IFCs and stuff, they give a particular reference to what level of energy conservation and resource management that you are giving while extending loans, because these are development finance organizations. So as finance professionals, there is a very much importance of these things by these donor agencies as well.
लेकिन हारिसिया ये बड़ी महंगी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स होती हैं. If we invest in anything to sort of bring about a fundamental change in our engineering processes and our products, these are very expensive investments we have to make. लेकिन short term में आपके प्रॉफिट भी खराब हो जाएगा, आपके डिप्रिसिएशन चार्जेस ऊपर चले जाएंगी, आपके जो है आपका जो शॉर्ट टर्म रिटर्न जो है वो खराब हो जाएगा. तो सीईओ कहेगा जी मेरी परफॉर्मेंस खराब होगी, मेरा बोनस खराब हो जाएगा. So what do you say when faced with these challenges?
Arif sahab, absolutely. जो आपने बात की कि there is a short term view also when it comes to profitability. So companies, in fact, historically used to work on a 1 year horizon, maybe के budgets हैं, and we have to keep an eye on the ball. But right now, जिस तरह सजाद ने शुरू में कहा कि because of this COVID, I think some of the organizations are now focusing on month-on-month rolling forecast, as they say. But more importantly, I think organizations do have a 3 to 5 year plan, and maybe some organizations are moving to a 10-year plan. So while I understand that this investment in let's say renewables and maybe taking an extra cost because you want to provide a more efficient kind of a product, but it has a payback, and financially it can also be justified. I can again quote an example where we've converted 50% of our energy requirement to solar. And it did not mean that we invest ourselves. We were able to find partners who were willing to invest. And there are, and in fact, and I can share that with you, the project that we have done, in fact, we haven't invested a single penny. We are not incurring a single penny in terms of maintenance cost. However, we are saving about 10% in our electricity bill versus the WAPDA tariff. So, my sense is if you have a will to move, you are able to think of ways to reduce costs and make it more doable. So yes, the project that we did, I think the partner invested about 100 million in this. We did not invest, but there was a win-win situation for both, because there is opportunity if you find there are partners who are willing to invest, and the organization doesn't have to invest. So the CEO is not bothered about extra depreciation or extra maintenance cost. In fact, CEO is happy that we are able to save some cost, and more importantly, what we achieve is less impact on the society. We are able to save carbon footprint, and we are able to impact positively to our society. And that's a perfect example. Globally, our head office in Amsterdam, they've taken an approach that they would, long-term vision is that they would convert 100% of their energy usage to renewables. So I think if there is a will, one is able to find an appropriate way to do it. Even in some cases where there is a short-term blip in the cost line, I think the overall profitability will still be there. So I think overall there's you can find a number of ways to get on and get those projects in.
Okay, great. That's good to hear that maybe the shareholder mindset and maybe the leadership mindset is beginning to change. Sajjad, Mustafa, one of the questions I had for you, Sajjad, is that हम कब से सुन रहे हैं that technology, especially automation, जो है वो हमारे unit cost को नीचे लेके आएगी. Yeah, that is why we go from labor intensive towards machine intensive, because we assume that unit cost कम होगी, economies of scale होंगी, लेकिन all the organizations I speak about, and even my own organization, technology is very expensive. Going digital is very expensive. Why is this? Is this the reality? Is digital expensive? Is it an expensive proposition?
In the short term, yes. In the short term, it is expensive, and then again, it depends what exactly we are looking for in a digital initiative. However, अभी तक I think a lot of problems जो हमें पाकिस्तान में ये हैं कि हमारा जो डिजिटल पे एक्सपेंस है वो इंटरनेशनल लेवल का होता है और उसके अगेंस्ट रेवेन्यूज हमारे लोकल लेवल के होते हैं, जिसकी वजह से वो हमारा एक मैच ROI जब हम कंप्यूट करते हैं तो हमारा एक्सपेंस जो है वो डॉलर्स में हो रहा होता है. और I have 2 SAP customers sitting right here who are paying annual support of SAP. So the expense is in dollars, and of course that's an international pricing. However, as I'm sure most of us have seen, that the cost of technology comes down extremely rapidly. So what used to be organizations which used to spend millions of dollars on projects no longer spend millions of dollars. There are very few projects worth that. So although short term may cost लगती है, but apparently invariably I've been in this business for almost 30 years now. I have never seen a project जिसका ROI 1-2 साल से ज़्यादा हो. Now, if we expect कि over months आज टेक्नोलॉजी लगाई और कल से उसकी adoption हो जाएगी और उसका return आना शुरू हो जाएगा, that doesn't happen. It requires a lot of other things, which are soft things. It requires a lot of training. It requires a lot of cultural changes. And taking a step back from जो पहले जिक्र हो रहा था regarding sustainability initiatives and the short-term costs, we have to realize that in B2B business, in current scenario, in every scenario, initiatives, it's not just the cost that a B2B customer is looking for. They're also looking for reliability of delivery. So organizations which have sustainability initiatives, for instance, there's an organization जो 100% labor पे dependence है versus something else जिसकी AI पे या robotics पे dependence है. And I, as a consumer, am sure that I'm going to get my delivery every single day whenever I order in time and at the right quality. I'll be willing to pay a premium. So organizations' sustainability initiatives are a lot more important now than just purely cost. Just to give you our example, people in our industry used to make fun of us कि हम लोगों के डॉक्टर्स आते हैं और वो लोगों को ट्रेन करते हैं और हर वक्त pre-COVID, अभी कोविड पाकिस्तान में पहुंचा ही नहीं था तो हमने अपने initiatives internally शुरू कर दिए. People in the industry in Lahore, my friends, colleagues, customers used to make fun of us. Nobody's laughing now. Because Alhamdulillah, not only have been, हम लोगों ने work from home जो है वो December, January में उसकी तरफ जाना शुरू कर दिया था. We had started building that infrastructure, remote delivery क्या होगा, main क्या होगा, backup क्या होगा, and so on and so forth. So when it hit, we were already ready for it. So जब वो problem आया, lockdowns आए, none of our delivery actually stopped. So those are the kind of things your forward-looking organizations that actually have. Did we incur a bit of cost in December and January? Absolutely. Absolutely. Did we recover most of it going forward? Absolutely, many times over. So these are the kind of initiatives in the short-term cost hota hai, but long-term may invariably, and I wouldn't even say long-term, I would even say in the medium term you get returns. Cost of digitization, yes, it is. It seems a bit high initially, because culturally we are not attuned to spending money on technologies and all. अभी तक बहुत सारे लोग technology को laptops ही समझते हैं या servers ही समझते हैं. There's a lot more to it, but हम लोग challenges में सिर्फ इसमें license या implementation नहीं. There's a lot more to it. You have to invest in your workforce. You have to invest in the training. You have to invest in their training. You have to invest in technology adoption. You have to invest in your HR. So you have to take the entire package. And only then you'll be able to get returns. A lot of times I feel that customers stop about 60 to 70% of the path, and then they don't get the rewards which you can only achieve once you get 100% there. So the HR or soft side of technology hoti hai, we need to invest there as well.
That's great. So, let's talk a little bit about supply chains and vendors, etc. We all belong to organizations that within our own business model, we have best practices, we've got the right technology, everything. Lekin, all of us work with individuals and businesses within our network, जहाँ पे ये इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इतनी ज़्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट करना नामुमकिन है, या हमारे सप्लाई चेन्स के अंदर ऐसे भी businesses होते हैं which may be violating a law, which may be violating human rights, maybe avoiding taxation. Sajjad, Iftikhar, हमारी as a bona fide business and as a large blue chip enterprise, what is your responsibility in looking across the supply chain and ensuring that every vendor that is involved in your value chain is also looking at their own business model, they're contributing to taxation, they're complying with environmental laws, they're complying with human rights, all those things. How do you do it?
So there are 2 to 3 angles to it. Number one, we are standing at a supply chain of certain B2C customers, and since we are into supply chain of a B2C customers and that may end up in a food packaging, we also need to be compliant with the number of laws. And we are not only required to comply with the number of laws, we need to be we need to make things available. Like Sajjad Mustafa has said, had they not gone into a work from home category in December or January, they would not be able to survive into those categories. And look at the businesses that have not adopted the technology at the right time, or who are not providing that technology at the right time. Perhaps they have a certain survival issue. Like I'll give one example of the education sector here. Look at all of the students, like since we are talking from a professional students body, a lot of the students are connected through ACCA across a brick and mortar structure. And if the certain colleges have not that online training facilities, all of these are standing at a zero if they do not offer any online classes. So the idea to build up that is, if we are holding at a supply chain of a particular food chain, our end customers also recognize that what is the quality of a law-abiding supplier is. If we are paying our taxes, we are technologically upgraded, if we can provide our invoices online, we can provide our products, making the delivery available, and accordingly we require that type of support from our supply chain. We can't buy materials from certain vendors who are not compliant with regulations, because at the end of the day, we need to maintain the regulation across the supply chain. We need to make that product available. If they do not have any contingency planning for establishing that supply chain, sorry, we can't business with them, because we need to maintain a certain sustainability for our end customers. So that is
Sajjad, कोई आप ऐसे interventions कर रहे हो जो उनकी capabilities को ऊपर लेके आ रहे हो?
Yeah. Because we are, with the help of our bankers, there is a certain distributor related finance and supplier credit, because there are certain suppliers operating in the industry who do not have access to capital like the blue chip companies are having. So we are engaging with the banks, providing them with a sufficient credit based upon the supplies that they are providing to this blue chip company at a certain interest rate. So that is making them affordable to get a certain sources, and that financial credit is a key thing for small vendors. Once you talk about these small vendors, they do not have that much of access to the credit market, particularly the banks or the public money. So that is how we are contributing to those small vendors, once we talk about a small cluster of vendors in that way.
Great, that's great to hear. Haris, आपकी supply chains, and how are you bringing in those best practices? I don't the term best practices is very huge, लेकिन वो आप कैसे अपने supply chain को अपने level पे लेके आ रहे हो?
आरिफ साहब, I think Sajjad ने बड़े pertinent points कहे हैं. The way we want to help and we are moving ahead in that direction is by making all our vendors sign and for that matter partners also. We make them read and sign a business partner code of conduct. So our first premise is that we will work with vendors and partners who share similar values that Akzo Nobel has. So that is one way. So that means we tell them that they can't use child labor, and they can't bribe government officials. So highest level of integrity is what is expected from our vendors. That's A. So that's one thing, making them aware that these things matter, and these are good for the organization on a long-term basis. And by signing, I think that's one way to tell them that this is important for us, and it is important for our vendors also. So that's A. The second part where we help our vendors and business partners is in HSE audits and supply chain audits. So where our vendors are, for all our contractors, we have a specific HSE plan. So our contractors are audited on a regular basis. And I'm talking about, let's say, toll manufacturers. So we do their HSE audits, and we tell them to make their processes safe and healthy. Because in fact, if God forbid, if any fire incident happens, because our products are very inflammable, so we want to make sure that we have a continuity of suppliers. So it's in our best interest also that our toll manufacturers follow those safety precautions. They take these precautions very seriously, because if we are relying on one of our vendors or toll manufacturer to supply to us, their reliability is equally important, so that we are in fact reliable in providing products to our customers. So these are the two ways where we work with our business partners and suppliers.
Great, thank you, Haris. Sajjad, Mustafa, just one of the things which is coming out in my mind as a result of this is that, you know, many years ago, decades ago, hum sunte the in Japan, wo invent हुआ था just-in-time model of, you know, supplies. Toyota ने perhaps invent किया था, मुझे याद नहीं है, लेकिन वो factory floor पे just when you needed the spare part, वो वहाँ पे होता था. So, you know, your supplier in your supply had to be embedded with your process. अच्छा, अब ये जो embedding जो है, how can technology, you know, I'm just trying to think, how can technology help the supply chain in Pakistan? Because हमारे पास छोटे मोटे suppliers हैं, कोई पुर्जा बना रहा है, कोई catering कर रहा है, और बड़े sort of, you know, scattered किस्म के suppliers होते हैं. How can technology help, you know, us to bring best practices into the supply chain?
Absolutely, जी. अभी तो जो latest enterprise systems हैं, they invariably उससे business partner integration is a standard sort of requirement. It's a standard feature. There are products out there, cloud-based भी हैं, दूसरे भी हैं, जहाँ पे दो organizations के अब systems integrate करें. We are seeing a lot of that happening. We are seeing invoice processing, हम बहुत सारे देख रहे हैं. आपने बैंक से साथ integration तो पहले ही बहुत सारे लोग आजकल common ही है. कोविड में तो आपने हमारे 30-40% पेमेंट्स ऑनलाइन ही आ रही हैं. आप उसके अलावा between two suppliers, between a supplier and a consumer, ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन बहुत कॉमन है. बेस्ट एग्जांपल इसकी है जी, जो ग्लोबली भी दी जाती है. There are some Pakistani companies part of it as well. That's something called Nike Connect, जिसमें what Nike does is, and a lot of other companies as well, we've been honored to be part of some of those initiatives as well. This is what you have is you have an integration bus running, and सारी communication और coordination उस bus के ऊपर होती है. So अगर जो भी आपकी requirement है, आपके purchase requisitions हैं, जब आपने material requirements plan run करते हैं और जो भी requisition है, वो online automatically customer के पास, आपके vendor के पास चली जाती है. And vendor को real time visibility होती है कि आपको किस वक्त क्या चीज requirement किस quality की चाहिए. and invariably आपको आपकी प्राइस वगैरह पहले से तय होती है, you have long term contracts, and automatically आपको वेंडर को भी पता चल जाता है, उसको भी विजिबिलिटी होती है आपके प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम्स की, and they can automatically manage it, and then contractually you can set up the pricing. It is very common. पहले historically Pakistani companies which used to supply to multinationals outside, वो ये use कर रही थी. अभी textiles के अंदर हम 2-3 customers के साथ we've done similar arrangements, जहाँ पे उनके सब suppliers के साथ automatically online coordination है. This is the देखें अगर इसमें देखा जाए सप्लाई के अंदर बहुत सारा हमारा टाइम वेस्ट होता था इंफॉर्मेशन की लेटेंसी के बारे में. एक रिक्वायरमेंट निकली, एक डिपार्टमेंट से दूसरे के पास गई, दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट से तीसरे के पास गई, उससे परचेजिंग वाले के पास गई, उसने 3 कोटेशन दी, उससे वेंडर के सेल्स वाले के पास गई, उसने फिर प्राइसिंग की, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. अब ये हफ्ते 10 दिन का जो लैग है, यू ऑटोमेटिकली आप सिस्टम्स को कनेक्ट कर देते हो. So जितने बड़े आपके tier 1 ERP systems हैं, SAP, Oracle and so on and so forth, all of them provide this feature. Everybody is doing it these days. Even contracting अभी Ariba वगैरह करते हैं तो online bidding वगैरह होती है, reverse auctioning, and all those features are all there. And Pakistani companies, a lot of Pakistani companies are using them these days, and very large corporations, Mari Gas and so on and so forth. There are many such initiatives like that going around. So it is.
So there's one thing I'm thinking about as you guys are talking, Sajjad ne bhi baat ki of best practices across the supply chain. You've just talked about some cloud software. Or phir mere mind mein aa raha hai, blockchain can also be can play a role, because in my mind blockchain allows for complete sort of integrity of linkages between different entities sort of integrated together. And I'm very conscious of the fact that we have a lot of young people listening at the moment, and I'm very conscious of the fact that हमारी majority industry जो है पाकिस्तान में, it's SMEs, and a lot of blue chip organizations also rely upon SMEs within their supply chains. So there's a good message here for encouraging young professionals, young people to also consider careers in SMEs as well, because जो direction आपने अभी हमें sort of दिखाई है, that SMEs also need to build their capabilities, their finance capabilities, their strategic planning capabilities. They need to understand how to make supply chains better. Do you find आपके जो interactions होते हैं SMEs के साथ, do you find there's enough finance capability within their networks to rightly engage with the bigger blue chip ones, or is there a deficiency? Sajjad, Iftikhar.
Arif sir rightly said, there is a clear gap between the blue chip or the large scale organizations and between the SMEs. That is a certain amount of responsibility, not only on the sponsors group of those SMEs, but also on the blue chip companies to how they can help them out in developing those SME. And once we are moving to a certain systems, like online payment solutions is one example on which many of the organizations in the blue chip industry have shifted some 5-10 years back. Now, that needs to be replicated by these SMEs. Yes, they took a while. They took like 4 or 5 years to develop those systems. And importantly, what happened in this COVID-19 situation, there were certain mind blockage that people were not interested into taking online payments because of certain so-called controls that they are exercising on manual payments. Now, because of this COVID, they have to accept that online payments. And there is a mindset shift. And that was very common into SMEs. If you talk about the SMEs, now they are taking online payments, they are migrating they are committed to investments into their financial systems now. Initially, they were profit-making organizations, like all of the SMEs that do not, most of them do not have any sustainability agendas into their things. But now, as a result of that compulsory change, they have to upgrade their financial systems to remain into that market. So sooner or later, these things come into play, and now they are playing their way, and they are getting payments. A very common example of these jazz cash services. These are across very small pyramid of the economy. Once you are forcing that unstructured people, They are now taking that jazz cash payment related services. So things are getting automated. And one very positive thing about our community is much of the population is below the age of 35 and 40. And that population is more adaptable to change. They are more tech savvy and they are into learning phase. So it's very easy for them and for us to adapt to that levels into SME sectors and even to the micro business sectors. So, sir, that's
So,
my take
you
on it.
know, great. Thank you, Sajjad. I think that's highly relevant. We're all experiencing, the increase in e-commerce around us. Haris, what I just said earlier on, अगर Akzo Nobel अपनी game lift कर रहा है, और Akzo Nobel जो है वो एक leading company है within the 21st century, but you're having a lot of relationships, commercial relationships with your supply chain, maybe SMEs. How do you bring them at parity with your level? Do they need to ensure that they hire the right people, that they're able to sort of match the capabilities demanded from them as well?
Arif sahab, absolutely important. Abhi tak I think most of the discussion has been with relating to our vendors. So that's a very important part of our supply chain. एक और very critical part of our supply chain that we feel is our distributors and channel partners. So that is also another area where we as a company have felt the need to invest and bring them up to that level. You can have the best product and you can have the most technologically advanced products, but if it is not available to the customer when the customer wants to buy that product, there's no use of it. So we are also investing, and we think that's another critical area to invest. So we have a system that is developed, and this is used in most of this, let's say, CISA countries, which is integrated with our SAP system. So our channel partners are able to, so we're trying to educate them how to run their businesses efficiently. And Sajjad, Mustafa, who has this kind of business where they want to educate their customers about the use of technology in ERPs, they would appreciate that for someone who is a SME business who's not using technology, the use of very simple reports like debtor reports, aging reports, stock aging reports, they're very efficient. So what we are doing is we are trying to impress upon our channel partners that this is something that they need to use in their daily work. So we are enabling them to access such reports. And this also is, and I think we have a selfish agenda in this also, because these systems are integrated with our SAP systems. So this gives us access to what products they're selling. So this gives us insight into which products they sell. So we get access to secondary sales data. And that is very important. So and also what this helps us is they are connected with our SAP system. So there's MRP that runs, and we get information about what products they need. So which products are out of stock. So which products that we should supply to our channel partners. So that's a very key area that we want our channel partners to improve on, so that they can run their business efficiently. They would know which customers are not paying on time. We want to help them to find out which stocks are slow moving. We want to help them improve their supply chains so that they can order products in advance and they don't run out of products if they have a demand. So so giving them the right tool and educating them about how to use that tool. So we spend a lot of time in implementing that system in their environment, and also training them how to use this tool. So if the channel partner, the distributor has like 2 or 3 people, the accountant is trained on how to run the reports. Their supply chain colleagues are trained in how to run the inventory reports, how to use the inventory reports for FIFO deliveries, how to look at slow moving items, and how to order. So that's an area where we want to help our channel partners, educate them so that they run their businesses more efficiently. And if they're able to run their businesses more efficiently, that's in turn a benefit for us because they are channel partners. So yes, there is an internal desire to improve, to help them improve so that we also improve.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can now.
Sorry, I had a bad internet connection. I won't tell you the name of my supplier just in case वो मुझे sue कर दे. Sure. Well, I think a really interesting discussion, and I just want to broaden it out a little bit. हमारे पास कोई 8 minute रह गए हैं. अच्छा, Sajjad, Mustafa, I just want this last 8 minutes to talk a little bit about the future. You know, हम 5G का सुनते रहते हैं. You know, that 5G is going to allow us to have machine-to-machine learning or artificial intelligence, और इससे ज़्यादा data भी manifold ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. अभी तो हमारे पास big data है और हमने शुरू में कहा था कि customer behavior जो है वो big data के through हमें influence कर रहा है. But with 5G, you know, things are going to get much bigger because you're going to have. So, you know, is 5G going to have an impact on the orthodox business that it has to look at the technological advances and it has to transform?
Absolutely, जी. अभी पीछे हारिस साहब जैसे जिक्र कर रहे थे, invariably ये जो अभी अगर आप सिस्टम देखें, and the two very important, a CFO and a Chief Investment Officer, has actually mentioned that now no longer are they looking at data within their own organization. They want visibility in their stakeholders, right? So अब secondary sales की बात हो रही है. No longer are they interested in looking at what happens in their own numbers. 10 years ago, you had primary sales numbers कि यार ये पता चल जाए कि आज के दिन पूरी organization में कितनी sale हुई है. And that was the report we all cherished after. Now we no longer care about that. That's a that's a drop in the. We know that already. Now the next step is कि हमारे जो channel partners है, secondary sales है, उसका क्या है? And invariably अभी हम जितने भी FMCGs में काम करते हैं, Karshi, Pepsi, ये आगे पीछे, सब में secondary sales is a problem. अब tertiary sales की बात हो रही है कि how do organizations actually cover the tertiary sales? Now when 5G comes in, all of that data transfer is going to increase manyfold, and it will actually be possible for us to look at all that data in real time, and hence our systems will evolve to ensure कि वो analytics जो आज से 3, 4, 5 साल पहले हमें आज के दिन की अपनी organization की sales बताते थे, अब हमें real time में tertiary sales बताएंगे. We'll be able to develop our marketing and supply chain plans based on the fact कि Liberty market में हमारा X SKU जो है वो कितना बिक रहा है, और अगला हमारा जो मार्केटिंग फोकस है वो टारगेटेड उस तरफ होना चाहिए. और आप ये देखें कि कौन जो कंज्यूमर है उसने किस ऐप और किस फेसबुक के ऊपर से खरीदा है, ताकि हम उसी कंज्यूमर को उधर ही करें, क्योंकि हमें फेसबुक पे पता चला है कि वो घर बना रहा है और हमने उसे पेंट बेच रहा है. So it will go to that. Let me tell you an example of some of the analytics that we ran. हमारा एक e-commerce का डिवीजन भी है जी. We turned around and we found out कि ये हमारी ई-कॉमर्स के ऊपर एक खास टाइम के ऊपर हर 20 मिनट इंटरवल्स के ऊपर जो है वो हिट्स भी बढ़ जाती हैं और सेल्स भी बढ़ जाती हैं on one particular day. Now we ran all the analytics in the world and we couldn't figure out till we ran it against other set of data to find out कि एक बहुत मशहूर टेलीविजन प्रोग्राम उस particular date पे होता था, और after every 20 minutes there used to be a break, and that was the time when consumers, and who were generally ladies, who were actually going on Facebook and looking onto our apparel and ordering there. So somebody, and I was always making fun of it, that हम लोगों ने $200 spend किए उस particular time slots के अंदर अपने ad देने के लिए, and our sales went through the roof. Now some poor sod was actually spending all that money on the television, जो 20 minutes पे ad दे रहा था, crores of rupees spend कर रहा था, prime time था, but the consumer was actually looking on the phone. They were looking at the screen on his hand जहाँ पे हमने $200 spend किए. So that is the difference. ये सारा कुछ big data और analytics के साथ ही possible है. With 5G, it enables us to acquire all that data, and then having systems which enable us to analyze and form marketing strategies beyond that. So it is no longer enough for us to look at our own organizations. It is important, it is essential that we know the facts apni organization mein, but it is very important for us to look beyond our organization. इसमें अगर हम Sun Tzu की कुछ बातें पढ़ लें, The Art of War में, तो वो कहता है कि जी आपने अपने आप को भी समझना है, अपने enemy को भी समझना है और battlefield को भी understand करना है. 5G enables us to understand all those dynamics, because it will for the first time enable us कि real time में है हम पूरी environment, पूरे ecosystem को समझ सकेंगे और उसके मुताबिक अपनी strategies devise कर सकेंगे. So I think organizations which go forward will have to continue to invest in technologies. That's where I am. Thank you.
और battlefield की जो boundaries है वो अब national नहीं है, वो regional भी है, वो global भी है. You know, we have to think in terms of, especially if we're going to take advantage of CPEC or CPEC का जो promise जो है of opening up regional markets and global markets, we have to break down those barriers.
Absolutely, Ji. Abhi we're doing some work in agri-tech, and I was so surprised. We're starting an e-commerce initiative where we'll be providing vegetables online and fruit and everything else. So we are trying to restructure the entire agri supply chain, which is a very complicated and very inefficient. There's lots of opportunities to improve there. And one of the farmers I was talking to, he turned around and said, "Yaar, aap mujhe ek app kyun nahi bana dete?" Now here's a guy who's hardly educated, by the way. He's an actual farmer. He's not like a landowner or a uski koi holding nahi hai thodi se ilake pe. Actually, he tills the land and produces and actually sows and harvests and everything. And he turns around and says, "Saab, अगर मुझे छोटी सी ऐप बना दें या मुझे उस पे आप ऑनलाइन व्हाट्सएप कर दें तो मैं आपको अपने डिलीवरी ऑर्डर उधर से ही दे सकूंगा." सो अभी वो जो पेनिट्रेशन है आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी की या ऐप यूज की, वो उस लेवल तक पहुंच चुकी है. नाउ वी हैव टू टेक एडवांटेज ऑफ इट. हमें बहुत सारी टेक्नोलॉजी लोकलाइज करनी पड़ेगी. आई थिंक वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट प्रॉब्लम्स दैट वी हैव एज टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोवाइडर्स कि हम उसको लोकलाइज इतना नहीं कर पाते. वी हैव टू मेक श्योर आवर एप्स आर इन उर्दू. कोरिया में, चाइना, सारी ऐप चाइनीज और कोरियन में होती है. वी हैव टू मेक श्योर कि उर्दू में हो, रोमन उर्दू में हो. अभी रिसेंटली हमने एक चैटबॉट, एआई का चैटबॉट किया. आवर फर्स्ट इनिशिएटिव वाज टू मेक श्योर कि वो जो चैटबॉट है वो रोमन उर्दू भी समझे एआई का और वो उर्दू नस्तालीक उर्दू का स्क्रिप्ट भी समझे. बिकॉज गोइंग फॉरवर्ड वी हैव टू रियलाइज that there is a 70% of our population that needs to be catered for as well. We cannot just ignore them and do our business in the 30%. Yeah. So
Great, thank you.
I think technology slowly localized hogi and we'll see dividends of that going forward.
So great. So technology be localized ho rahi hai, or customer behavior be is very important. I think I should mention, for the audience, एक ज़माने में probably ये जो हमारे दो guests हैं from Akzo, Nobel and Packages, एक ज़माने में ये भी SMEs होते होंगी. Every company starts off as an SME and gradually grows by bringing in those capabilities and improving their products and improving and growing their customer base. That all these companies were SMEs at one stage or another. So, और जो अभी जो demands हैं जो Sajjad, Mustafa ने mention की है, that every company will be sort of integrated with the other one. They will be expected to share their information, share their performance. So, there's going to be a growing demand, I think, for finance professionals in the SME sector in the future. And those SME sectors really need finance capabilities. They really need the qualified person to understand how they're going to grow their products, their services, their strategic thinking, their planning, their budgeting. All those things are very much needed. Let me just have a quick look at the live comments, see whether there's any questions in there that we can address. Quick, एक दो questions are there about ACCA examinations. I'm sure हमारे customer services wale will address those questions for you. Rafe Zedi says, in the short term, automation and tech-based solutions are expensive. Yes, we did touch upon this. A good example is the use of cloud-based technologies compared to premise servers-based as the price goes down. Yes, Syed Khan is one of my colleagues answering those questions. So these are some of the live questions coming in. I'm sure we'll be able to gather these questions, and if there's any we have to address offline, we'll do that. Let me just thank the guests. If there's any closing comments from any of the guests, Sajjad, Iftikhar, your closing comments, please.
Sir, my closing comments will be built up on what Sajjad Mustafa Saab said. Not only the SME businesses, moving forward, we'll see that technology and stuff in micro businesses as well. Because it's not about the technology and the supply chains, finance professionals or accountants. So we are leading towards a transformational change, and sooner or later, our micro businesses will also be that much savvy about the business models regarding their surviving and thriving structures, and how to use technology and finance professionals to improve that, even with the working capital of like 3 million, 4 million, that micro businesses will also be requiring all this stuff.
You're absolutely right. I think this device in the future is going to provide, all those capabilities. Haris, your closing comments, please.
Arif Saab, I agree. So finance professionally, I would sense that even SME businesses want qualified staff to support them in running their businesses efficiently. So absolutely right, qualified accountants are required, qualified finance professionals are required, but I think they would also feel the need to have qualified supply chain teams, qualified HR teams. HR is very important aspect, and you can't run your function, your business or organization with just someone who is an administrative staff. You need people to understand that that people need to be taken care of well. So I think overall, gradually, as organizations, even smaller organizations, improve, they would also try and reap the benefits of the quality resource that's available.
Great, thank you very much. Sajjad, your final comments, any messages for the young audience members listening as well?
I think for the younger audience, I would say that this is a perfect time for you to invest in yourself. Learn what's out there in the technology. Post-COVID, क्या होना है वो आपको और हमारी तरह के लोग जो 30 years से business कर रहे हैं हम लोग, the jury is still out who is right. All of us are conjecturing. So it's a great curve flattener in that way, if I could use that term. This is a great time. Invest in yourself, learn. Coming out of it takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, God knows. Make sure you invest in yourself. This is a classic time. Do not waste this time on Netflix. Do not waste this time on YouTube. Invest in yourself. This is a perfect time for you to learn. Stay safe and learn about what's going to happen and conjecture. आप करें और सोचें और कि इसके बाद जब दुनिया खुलेगी दोबारा तो क्या होगा, and you are at par with everybody else. So with this, I would recommend stay safe and all the best to everyone.
Great, thank you very much, Sajjad. Thank you very much to the other two guests as well. हम सबकी तरफ से यही message है: stay safe. So if you can stay at home, stay at home. Look after your loved ones and your friends, and let's get through this crisis together. I think the other message is, you've heard a lot from 3 highly qualified professionals. I think the thing is to concentrate on your plan for your career. Invest in yourselves. वो भी आजकल online investment हो रही है. And then, I'm sure with Pakistan's economy will bounce back from this situation, and there'll be lots of opportunities for all of us in the future. Thank you all very much, and thank you to my guests for joining us. Thank you all, and Khud Hafiz.